Hi everyone, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. Both sides are gathering strength to prepare for the coming winter, so not a lot of things are happening on a big strategic level. There is still a lot of intense fighting on the tactical areas, but not enough to give a major strategic update. I've already explained in my last video, and you should watch it if you didn't know, about what we should expect in the coming winter and where the sides should attack. But let's quickly go over it just to have an update for this week. So around Svatove direction, this is where Ukraine still has the advantage. Ukraine has basically continued pushing onwards towards Russian positions. It is happening basically a couple hundred meters per day, so it's edging closer and closer to Svatove. But we know that Russia has been supplying additional reinforcements towards Svatove Kremina line. There's been recently videos circulating with the Russians sending basically a lot of these building materials basically in huge columns that stretches for kilometers just to reinforce the positions around this line. So it's a slow burn for the Ukrainians, and Russians are preparing to build their defenses both on the first and second lines around Svatova Kreminna, and also second one from Starobilsk to Shestya. Around Bakhmut, basically, I would say it's not just around Bakhmut, it's basically this area over here, maybe with a little bit less action over here. But overall, around Bakhmut, around Avdiivka, around Marinka, these are the hot zones where Russia is trying to slowly advance, and they are trying to creep forward. The Bakhmut direction most notably was kind of a little bit of advancement towards deep south of Bakhmut. Marinka was seeing a little bit of advancements at the top of it, but this is all again tactical positions. Ukrainian position in the area here is threatened, but I would say that it's still being controlled by Ukrainian armed forces. Nothing yet suggests that they are ready to collapse. And again, we definitely know that Ukraine is preparing their troops. So we don't know where Ukraine is going to strike, but this is what we are expecting. Around Vuhledar, the same fighting continues. Russians are trying to continue control of Pavlivka, whereas Ukrainians, on the other hand, are striking them across the small river around Vuhledar. The Russian assaults towards Hulaypole were crushed, and since then they did not really try to do any major advancements. Here and there, some fighting is happening, but nothing significant so far. Ukraine, basically, as I said, Ukraine turned the Kinburn Peninsula in basically a gray area. It is technically red because it's not controlled by the Ukrainians, but it's a gray zone because Ukrainian groups are pretty much going through this peninsula any way they want. So it's not really like Russians are not having any assets in there. It is colored red only nominally. And as much as I would like to say, but this is literally what I can tell you about the situation on the front line. Importantly, that does not mean that things are not happening in Ukraine. The war is still extremely intense. The fighting is happening every day, especially when we're talking about people on the front lines. For them, this is as intense as it gets, because especially on Bakhmut directions, some even are reporting that, well, when Russia a little bit pushing, they're experiencing some shortage of ammunition. Sometimes they're experiencing sometimes shortage with their positions being heavily shelled. But we need to understand that this is just one part of direction. And now with Russia getting the forces out of Kherson, we now see that Bakhmut direction has been also reinforced a little bit, at least with the supplies, because they are not being sent towards Kherson anymore. So all in all, we can say that definitely something is coming. We're waiting for the winter to start. We should be aware that Russia is continuing doing their terror strikes. That's probably the main talking point for today, right now around Ukraine. And we need to understand that this is obviously war crime, right? And people have judged saying like, well, that's just war. That's no, no, no. We need to understand when war machine starts fighting civilians, when Russia starts striking basically all Ukraine and striking the energy network, striking the heating facilities in the coming winter, that's literally pretty much using the weapons of mass destruction, because Russia is aiming to kill indiscriminately. Russia is not fighting against Ukrainian army. Russia is fighting against Ukrainian civil population. And there is a word for it, and it's called genocide. Well, obviously, because Ukrainians are able to survive this, it's an attempt to genocide. But you get my point. And I want to finish this up, as always, by saying thanks not only to people that like, subscribe, and share this video on their social networks, which is very important. It helps the channel a lot. And not only the people that are Patreon supporters that are sending money to me so then I can help support Ukrainian army and also improve this channel bit by bit. But most importantly, I want to say huge thanks to people that just goes in the first comment that I have under this video and donates directly to the Ukrainian relief efforts, to directly to support either the armed forces or the civilian population of Ukraine, to help them survive this terrible terror attack that Russia is conducting and help them get over this winter. I love you all. Thank you so much. Slava Ukraini.